coaching weightlifting and being great at weightlifting coaching is an inherently like just difficult, mysterious, like it's really hard to be good at it. But the reality is like, I always think to myself, I live in the Bay Area, so I'm always seeing people that are very intelligent, they engineers and people that come into our gym. It's like, if Elon Musk wanted to be the best weightlifting coach in the country, like the dude would be there in a year.
Yeah, he would.
Right? Like he has the resource and the intelligence and the intellect to surround himself with like it wouldn't take long. So like any coach, any person that has just a little bit more aptitude for it, who never tried it before, could come in and be great really quickly. Now, are they going to be a winning coach over and over and over again? That might take more time, more skill, but like, again, it's like the newer, younger coaches are the one problem they have is that they're going to learn from the coaches that currently exist. So they're going to learn from a system that is still being refined and built and developed. Just as we did, we learned from coaches that were learning from other coaches, right? So it's like, what our coaches, the coaches that coached us and we learned from, they learned from those guys, and it evolves and grows. So it's like the coaches that come up now are going to learn from everything we've learned from. So they are starting from a better position than we did. And they might have a totally different perspective. They're not coming from the age of, the like steroids and drugs that existed in the 80s and 90s. They don't have that perspective. But maybe they have a different perspective. They come from the CrossFit era where there's drugs and steroids there, and it's like a different thing. And maybe their perception of like how hard someone can train is completely skewed.
Right.
And good or bad, the point I'm making is like they're coming from a different place. They're standing on other people's shoulders. So I would assume that there's going to be a lot of coaches that are going to come up, and they'll come up much faster than we did because of the internet and whatnot. They're going to have a faster rise. So the good coaches that we're going to see in 5 years may not even be coaching right now.
I think that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know that whole Elon Musk thing was somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but it does go to show that we tend to consider, when Josh asks the question, who's the best coach or who's an up-and-comer, I think most people imagine that we're in a vacuum and you've got one coach and one athlete who can, without any external resources, make that one athlete better based on their programming. Whereas actually, like you said, Elon Musk would come in and he'd go, okay, what do these athletes need? Okay, they need a lot of money. We'll give them that. They need food, they need all of these things, they need no stress, and he would engineer it that way. And it's like, no, maybe he wouldn't be able to give you the best cue, but he would bring in people, he would bring in all of the resources, and who's to say that doesn't make him a better coach than other people might be.
I think it's super important to put the perspective on, and this is the reality of a lot of things. We see one person, we see a coach or an athlete, and this happens in every walk of life, but we put all of it on that person. I mean, Ilya Ilin didn't do shit by himself.
Right.
I mean,
the country.
I mean, look at him now, right? There was something else helping him, right? And so it's like, Kazakhstan, money, country, motivation, family, drugs, scientists, training programs, like all of that comes together. So it has to always be looked at as a holistic, homogenous thing that's like, what is driving this up, right? Okay, like, Team Juggernaut or Team Garage Strength or, Team, Weightlifting House, like whatever is driving those results up has to be looked at from the big picture, like that group is doing really well or that group is doing really well. And it's always going to be that, because there's going to be a standout here and there, but it's impossible to look at one standout and say, yeah, that's how great they are. Something I always tell people, and I'm sure I've said this 1,000 times on this podcast, but it's like, if you want to see who the best coaches are, you have to eliminate the outliers. Take the top athlete away and look at like what's beneath that. Take the standout performer out of the mix, and then look at the rest of it. And maybe there's not very much under that. It doesn't mean they're not a good coach, but it's like, okay, that's giving you a better indicator of like, is this club and coach and system producing a lot of good stuff and then the outliers go really far? Or is it, like this is a guy who does one-off things, so he has to kind of find the right person, the right time. It's tough, or he or she, I guess.